Hey, what's going on, guys? It's me, Train Man, and here we are building terrain tracks. Just a fair warning, this is maybe the first quarter of this episode, at least. Either way, what it means is we're getting all the groundwork done for the sections of the map that are going to have to be completed. And we are probably one good terrain episode away from getting all the groundwork done, the literal groundwork, done on this section of the map. What I'm going to do after that, immediately after that, what I'm going to do is actually attach this to the bigger map. Once that's done, we're going to come back and start doing the detail work here, and that includes building, putting trees in, putting, little fiddly bits of grass, and of course the ground textures that we're going to need. The reason I'm going to attach it first is so that I have easy access to the textures in buildings that I know I can use, and that I know I already have. And by already have, I mean already have in the map, so that it's not making the file any larger, which isn't really the concern. The concern is, in the end, that I will not be able to find something. That's why I like to have all my stuff in one map, is so that once I place something down the first time, I know where it is. I don't need to go scrolling through the list again, I don't need to try to remember the name. I just can go and look for it and go, okay, so there was this shack, and I know where I put it down last time, so I'll just go over there and I'll grab the shack, and I'll put it down over here. I don't have to spend time scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling like you've seen me do. That doesn't help when I'm building an area for the first time, but it may have actually helped when I was building these areas if I'd already had this attached. But that was not possible because the map wasn't done enough, I don't think. What was going on when I first started this? I think the map was not in my hands. So now that I've got it in my hands, I can do the thing and put them together. And then, of course, you can run stuff all over the map. And by you, I don't mean you guys that are watching the video necessarily, because this map isn't ready to be handed out. I'm not going to do alpha tests on this, because this is part of another much larger project, which isn't close to completion. Okay, so the video is going to look weird here. The reason that is because when I do this, the game locks up for a little while because the game doesn't like terrain tracks in this version. It also doesn't really like terrain adjustment, so I've noticed. However, as long as you have enough patience, you can get through it. So now we have all these tracks, and we've covered about a third of the area. So we come along and we delete all the tracks. And we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side after we fix these little ripples that I've left in by accident. Now that was completely my bad. I just wasn't, I wasn't completely, maybe I wasn't in my right mind when I was doing the thing. I just wasn't paying that close attention to how well this stuff was working. So, we're going to fix these little crevices, I guess is the best word for them, that we made, sort of by accident. And then we're going to come along here and we're going to find the perfect spot, and then we're going to create one every other, just like we did. And we're going to do that all along. Honestly, I wish I could speed this up even faster. But if you notice, the video is only a hair over 16 minutes, and the reason for that is I spent a lot of time just downloading stuff. If you remember Russell, the engine I used for an op session a while back, not the Gilpin 2 Russell, but the little 262 Russell. That is part of a series of engines in rolling stock, and I just found them all again, and went, oh, I should get these, because they're cool and they're 2-foot gauge, and I could use them, because the SR and RL stuff, while it fits the bill, it doesn't really work for run sessions, and I've fiddled around with number 1, and it's a shame because I'm going to need to use that sucker. It is wonky in DCC mode and doesn't work at all in regular mode. And 5 works, but 5 isn't the engine I want to use. So at least the Baldwin locos work, and I can swap out their engine spec pretty easily for a steam one. Of course, the only problem with that is that I don't have a steam engine tender, and they don't have anywhere to get coal and water from. So we're almost done with this section. We are almost all set with this line, and it's kind of cool watching in 4x speed. All the little things bump up, and then especially it's kind of therapeutic. It's oddly satisfying to go through and delete all of the track, all of the parallel track. So once again, little hiccups every single time we go and do that. Alright. And we get to a wonky part here because I'll admit the esker is not where it could have been. Oh, that was just awesome. Okay, awesome was not the right word, but that was great. Alright, so, and then, of course, we have the actual difficult job of fixing the terrain, which I spent the remainder of the time on. And didn't finish, but I got down where a river's going to be, so yay. And I drowned the track a little bit, and then I had to go back and fix that. So that's, I won't call it a regret, but it could have been done a little better. However, it could have also been done better if I wanted to use all of the tools that are available to me, but instead we're not adjusting the height of the track, A, and we're not adjusting the height of the land to the track, B. We're just raising the land and the track is sitting on top of it, because level of difficulty. And a lot of the time I was building this, it was a little bit, a little bit wishy-washy in terms of, I wasn't really sure what I was going to do with the terrain. Like, I wasn't sure where I wanted to put a valley. Eventually I figured, I want to put a valley here, and then I didn't really have the depth to do it. Not here, but a different place where the river goes, you'll find out. So, yeah, okay. I was just putting down some basic stuff there. The thing was, as long as I got it to a certain elevation, as long as I got this bump to a certain elevation, it would eventually line up with just the whole plane that we just spent most of the video building. It would line up with that inclined plane. Now, I start actually working from the other direction, it occurs to me, because I wanted to get that river in there. And of course it runs from the other direction. So I just started working from there instead of the direction that we've been working this whole time, which has been towards Worcester in the middle. A lot of fine adjustment with a very large brush. And the reason I'm doing that is so that we don't have things that look like cuts and embankments. So that we just have things that look like, oh, the mountain was shaped like this, and so that's why they built the track through it, instead of, anything sensible as to... Anything sensible, in terms of actual route building. Not actual railroad building, but route building. Center Tier Gaming asks, where did you get your train mods? And I said, mytrains.co.uk, but I think that website is down as it. But I think that website has long since been down. Alright, live comment response. Oh, it redirects. It redirects to a place now. Enemy Trains isn't dead. It's not dead! Oh my god. This is amazing. Guys, it's blowing my mind. Now, I didn't go and check to see if the moths were there. Oh, by the way, river. So, working on this river. Sorry, I get distracted. Working on this river, if you'll notice, there was a point there where the river level was above the level of the, of the track. And that was obviously a problem, because we're not making underwater railroads here. Not today, at least. And so I cut it off, I lowered that section to make it a little bit more sensible, and I'm going to be adding a waterfall in here. Just kind of more or less hidden, because there's really no need to... I didn't feel the need to show it off. You're just going to be running into the woods here to avoid this hill, then crossing the river, and then continuing. So we've got, right now we have two unrelated sections of river, more or less. And I'm going to have to go back and connect them shortly. And so every once in a while I'm zooming out to kind of see my overall progress, get a feel for how much more time we need to spend here. Originally I would have thought we'd have it done today, but again I took a detour and started downloading stuff. Which isn't all done, by the way. I have to wait until that resets, which I'm not sure when it resets. And then download another 100 megabytes of stuff. Pretty much on the dot is 100 megabytes of stuff. And then it'll be all set, and then I can check out something. And that something is a different section of this very map, which I asked to be sent to me for, not final review, but review. Okay, why did I bury this entire river is the question, and the answer is I don't really know, and it could have been done better. This is the part that I don't finish, because it just ends up looking awful. I do put a lake somewhere around here. Okay, see, the reason it's relevant, or the reason that it matters that I started working from the other end, is because I got all the way to the bridge, which is sort of the midpoint of what I'm working on right now, and decided to go back and grade the line between Worcester and the bridge. Also, the water level helps me figure out what's too low later, although I should have done more with that. Because obviously I don't want to make a basin that the river would otherwise be flowing into, and it decided to make some stupid turn. So we build this, I basically build this wall so that I don't have to raise the whole thing. So that's at least moderately feasible that the river chose to go this way instead of not. Instead of ducking into this basin here that I'm building the barriers of. And to make the point that it is in fact below the level of the water table, I decided to throw in a little kettle lake, which I'm about to build. And the folly here is I use the water level from the river and realize, wow, this is a big lake. And so I lower it until it's a little bit more of a normal-sized lake, and then I go in and fill in the edges so that it looks like it ought to be a lake instead of, a mess. Alright, so we've got this track here, and so I come in here with the very small tools to adjust the ground underneath the track. That's going to be just about the last thing we do today. Between here and the bridge is more or less done now, in terms of terrain. The big brushes, of course, to bump up the spline points, the small brushes for everything else. Medium-sized brushes when we need them. I'm not a big fan of the medium-sized brushes. Go big or go home, or, tiny brush, I guess. Sure. Why not? Tiny brush. Tiny brush for fine adjustment. And so that we don't have tracks hanging off the edges of the cliffs there. Also, the plateau tool works for that. It occurred to me after I was, however many hours into building the track like this. I decided, oh, wait a minute. I can make it so that the ground underneath the track is actually flat. Wow. But, what do you know? And then we start working across the bridge, and I decide that this area is too unfinished, and decide to go. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Train Man out.